I'm going to give an overview here of the High Fantasy Autoplayer. Now, what is a High Fantasy Autoplayer? Well, first, it was written for Conrads Fantasy Next Millennium. Now, that's a game that is from the original Conrads Fantasy from the 1990s, and it was updated for... It's still a skill-based system, and as you wind your way up through levels, you acquire different skills, and those skills come together to create actions in the game. But that's neither here nor there. Now here's the way the autoplayer works. First of all, you could use this either to play along with the group, or you can use it as the referee. That's what I mean by an autoplayer. Or you can use it to play solo and generate action in the game. Now, typical of all fantasy genre, you're going to need like a home base. So we have the kingdoms of Mercia, Umbria, East Anglia, and the Duchy of Wessex. And these have also expanded across the shallow sea here to the frontier outposts. They're being invaded by the Huns. The waters are plagued by sea raiders. The master wizards of the world basically find humanity as a nuisance, and they're just trying to keep the social order and the laws of the universe in place. You have the Elder Fae, what's left of the elves. The elves in this case are more like fairy tale, Grimm's fairy tale type of elves. They're not the Tolkien-style elves. The lizard men live in the Saurian swamps. The servants of the Dark Host, your typical Dark Lord, has been eliminated from the campaign, but his servants still linger, very powerful. Tiamat, the first dragon and the mother of all beasts, she's gone. She was tossed into the rivers of fire, the lava flow that was brought up by the demon princelings who still linger around. But all the beasts, all the spawn of Tiamat still exist. You have the Tundra Giants still fighting a war from an age ago, and they will appear in the campaign. And finally, the Undead Realms, buried here in the mountains, probably. Now, I'm just in East Anglia, and I'm not really going to demonstrate any of the character play here. The character play will fall out depending upon the way you like to game master and the type of group you have. But what can this actually do for you? Well, with the flip of a tarot deck, I can populate my campaign with challenges, quests, and enemies. So if you want to have some enemies appear in the play, we can flip some cards. Here comes our first flip, and that would be a 5 of coins. That 5 of coins inverted, I would go down to 5 inverted. If you get 2 inversions in a row, you're a double bane. So some sort of feral reptile. The lizards, magnificent in size and hunger. Engaging this monster causes automatically bruise cut wounds to all characters in the party. Create a boss loyal to or instigated by the Saurian swamp lizardmen. This boss moves along a circuitous route. It must reach Wastes of Tiamat before taking a direct path to East Anglia. Here we go. I got a little icon for boss lizards in Roll20. And I can actually put the name of the monster that I had right in there. And I would start that in the Saurian swamps as directed. And that boss lizard then is going to want to wander in the campaign till it gets to the Waste of Tiamat, and there it will energize and immediately try to head back. And that would be like the first boss I put in the play. Let's see if we can get a second one here. And I would flip a card. And that second boss, it's a little bit more than wandering monsters because the rules of the auto player will direct how they're going to move, and as they move, are they going to generate threats in their path. And that second one is a Knave of Rods, and it's a double bane inverted. Knave, but it's inverted, but it's double inverted, double bane. It's a dreaming giant, a creature that is worshipped and served by an inhuman cult. Only the bones of the monster may remain, or the mountain-sized range enemy is sleeping. It should not wake and rise. More to the point, if it did so, a Zare would intervene. Those are our protectors of magic, and scold the group to be more responsible. The followers are the significant threat. Yet, projections of various sizes of the giant will appear and must be dispelled. Engaging this monster causes all skills to be treated as affinity, with success 2 higher in your task roll. So you're going to create a boss loyal to and instigated by the Elder Fae. The boss will visit the following factions in order: the Undead Realms, the Wastes of Tiamat, the River of Fire, and the Demonic Princelings, and finally the Tundra Giants. After that, we'll march on East Anglia after it's picked up all those immunities. And in Roll20, again, you could use your own VTT that you favor, or across the tabletop if you want to make some pawns. And I might open this up, and I might not call it Boss Fae, I might call it the Dreaming Giant. And I think that little dagger symbol, if I go to the bottom here and read what that dagger symbol represents, It says, it acts as a plague bearer. For danger, as the boss departs a region, it leaves behind a new threat by Q&D Chaos Zone. So I got a couple of boss here already. And let's just track this one, this Dreaming Giant. So the Dreaming Giant started in the Fey here. And as it moves, it creates threats. Now I can, same thing, I'm going to flip the tarot deck here. And here comes my tarot deck flip. And it's a 9 of rods action, but the 9 is a buffer state. So organize and train the local militia. Create a path, create a threat in the path of nomadic Huns unless the underlying cause designates a region. For instance, when this Dreaming Giant is moving around, it's going to create threats right in its own region that it left. But here you would need Mystic, Scholar, Sorcerer, plus any professional skills in order to defeat that threat. I would also need Sorcerer, Scholar, and Mystic. And as a party in Conrads Fantasy Next Millennium, the different players will have these skills, and as they complete them, they would have the possibility of eventually eliminating this hazard. Right. I'm just putting this in here so that I can later on look at it and know, oh, that's that buffer state. I need to train a militia. So if I wanted to as a player character, I could move from East Anglia up to this buffer state here. And even at level 1, I would have skills of, for instance, Scholar or perhaps a Mystic, and maybe by affinity. And then I could make some rolls here, and I would try to reduce this threat and eliminate it from the game. I also know by clicking on this that it needs 1 professional skill, and I know I have at least 1 professional skill because I start with 1, either as Mariner or Scholar, or Scout, or Soldier. If I'm playing Conrads Fantasy Next Millennium, I know I have at least 1 of those skills. So I would maybe look at this, and if I was playing either as referee or as game master and having the players move the group, or if I was playing with them, or even if I was playing solo, I might decide that I need to go after this Dreaming Giant before it really becomes more powerful. It's going to move, and the movement is based on what the game master wants it to move. The game master can have it move every time the players move, which means I'm chasing it, or I could have an advantage here, maybe moving toward it. So maybe I move to the Lords of Umbria. Maybe I get as far as the Kingdom of Mercia. If I decide to cross this water, there is a chart within the autoplayer. Whether I'm in the Sea Raiders position here, traveling along by the Sea Raiders, something that would cause pirates or attack while I'm on the waters. And this thing might move on. It might move into the swamps here. And as it moves, it leaves behind a Chaos Zone. And I would take my card of Chaos Zone and put it onto the campaign map. And after a little while, generating these cards, I got to Hermit, which the Hermit is going to be a major tarot event. That major tarot and Justice and Wheel and Hermit. Flip a card for Q&D Walking Boss and put that monster in the Servants of the Dark Host. Add the additional minions and immunity and stage a climactic fight. So already by me trying to catch that giant that's moving into the Saurian lands, 2 bosses there already, I would immediately add another boss right in the Servants of the Dark Host and be drawn there to fight the battle. Well, that's a little bit of how that works. It's available on drive-thru. More later.